Good morning, everyone. Today, I, Daini,
And I, Anvita.
students of DPS-Modern Indian School here in Doha-Qatar, have the honor and privilege of interviewing His Excellency Ambassador Shri Vipul. Mr. Vipul has been a career diplomat and has been on Indian missions in Cairo, Dubai, Geneva, and Colombo. Sir, thank you so much for meeting with us here today. How do you do, sir?
Very good, very good. Thank you for coming.
That's great to hear, sir. We're also doing really well today.
Great.
Now, shall we start from the very beginning of your journey?
Yeah.
What was your childhood and your school days like? And what were the subjects and the activities that you enjoyed the most during your time in school? And just in general, what was your student life like, sir?
Well, I think in our days it used to be very simple life, and I studied in small towns of Uttar Pradesh, now Uttarakhand, most of those parts in Roorkee, Haridwar, and Ranikhet. And then I did my class 10 and 12 from Lucknow. It used to be simple life, basically focused on studies and sports. So we used to go to school, study hard, come back, and then play for 2-3 hours in the evening, do our homework, sleep. There was no internet. There were very few distractions. No internet, no mobile phones. There used to be only one channel on TV that used to come for a few hours. So life in general was very simple and very good. Of course, in terms of my subjects, as you said, I think I liked maths and Hindi more, and then we used to basically play sports, all kinds of sports, So that is how my life was.
I think a lot of students can relate to that to a
Yeah.
certain extent. Now, you've been a highly successful career diplomat for many years now, sir, and you've had experience in many different countries, obviously. So, were there any early influences or perhaps any events that inspired you to pursue a career in diplomacy or foreign affairs?
No, not really. I mean, the only thing was that my father he always told us that we should be going into civil services. And within civil services, he ranked foreign service quite at the top. I think the general logic and easy logic of that was that you are representing your country abroad, and that's a big honor. So that is how the thought of coming into diplomacy, into foreign service came into mind, and also other civil services. If not foreign service, then other civil services as well. And I think that aim from childhood got set in my mind, and then I worked towards that step by step.
Thank you for sharing your experience with us, sir. So now I've read about your experiences in the IFS, and what was the turning point that led you to join the Indian Foreign Services? Was it something that you always wanted to achieve later on in life, or was there like a sudden change in your career path?
No, it was not a sudden change. So as I said, it was all about civil services, and then we prepared for civil services, and foreign service ranked high in my choices, and then. I think the main motivation was that you represent your country, you become ambassador of your country to other countries, and that's a big honor. India would have about 140 embassies overall, and you are one of those ambassadors from so you in one sense you become a chosen one, so. I think that's for a country like India, we have more than 140 crore people, and to be one of those, I think that's a very big thing. So I think that's what basically motivated me.
Yes, sir. We can all relate to that, I think.
Yeah.
Basically, representing your country is an incredible honor, of course.
Yeah.
And now, touching upon your role as an ambassador, sir, you essentially are India's voice in Qatar. What does a typical day look like for you, and what are the responsibilities that come along with being ambassador in Qatar?
Well, when you are ambassador, you have two aims, especially when you are in Qatar, for example. One is to promote India's interests in wherever you are, and the second is to promote India-Qatar or the bilateral relationship with the country wherever you are working. And that happens in multiple ways. So One of the ways is essentially to liaise with the local government, keep meeting people, also keep meeting businessmen and cultural personalities and other people to promote and find ways as to how we can have more strengthening of India-Qatar relations. So that is one. So in terms of a typical day, it would be meetings with many with Qatari dignitaries, and then you also have a big diplomatic corps. So you also keep in touch with that diplomatic corps, essentially to understand, also Qatar's priorities and how we can then kind of get the priorities of India and Qatar together, and see what are the avenues of furthering our cooperation. So as I said, meetings with Qatari dignitaries, meetings with diplomatic corps as well, and then a lot of representative duties also come, which is attending. We have national. Qatar is very active diplomatically. So there are more than, I think, 120 odd missions here of different countries. So everyone celebrates their national days. So go and represent India in those national days. They also come in our functions. And a large part nowadays, the world over, for an Indian diplomat, is also to look at economic diplomacy. So how we can strengthen the economic and business cooperation between the two countries. So we keep meeting a lot of people who are into science, who are into business. So that is another part. And the last one is taking care of the Indian community. We have a very large Indian community here in Qatar. So I do go and try and interact with as many Indian community organizations as possible to understand their needs, and also to be with them in general.
Yes, sir. I think that's a very valuable insight into all the immense responsibilities that come with your role as the Ambassador of India in Qatar. So now I want to ask you, sir, obviously in this journey to getting here, you would have faced many obstacles. So could you please share with us some of the most rewarding as well as some of the challenging moments in your diplomatic career so far?
Well, I would say it's more about rewards. It's not so much. There are challenges all the way. You would have on a daily basis. You would have some challenge. You are seeking a meeting which is not coming through. How does it come through? So you keep working on these things. But ultimately, I feel one great thing is that I represent India. India is a large country, a big country. A country which is respected the world over. So of course, whatever challenges you feel, the strength of India is behind me, and therefore automatically things will smoothen out. Things will work out for us. I think that is how I have always worked. With full confidence of the weight of the country behind me, and then rewarding. I think. I've had good rewards. One of those is Government of India choosing me to come here as ambassador, which is a big honor. And earlier on, I headed the Office of External Affairs Minister from 2014 to 2017, and that was another big honor. I worked 3 years with Srimati Sushma Swaraj at that time. She was the External Affairs Minister of India. And that was a big reward because you see things happening right at the top as to how the country runs, how the foreign policy gets decided, how decisions are made. So that again was a very big reward. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think that's a valuable insight again into how rewarding this experience is. Now, you've had such a vast array of experiences in diplomacy in general. So there are many students in our school as well as just students, Indian students living in Qatar who are very interested in the fields of diplomacy and foreign affairs. So what do you think should we as young students focus on if we want to gain skills and experiences to pursue a career in diplomacy down the line?
Well, I think first I would say that diplomacy, Indian Foreign Service and Indian civil services in general I think they are a very good career option for students. So I think even students who are living abroad, sometimes you may miss out a little bit on the way the students in India are thinking. But I think civil services should definitely be considered as a very good career choice. Within that, Indian Foreign Service or diplomacy is again a great service that one can think of joining. In terms of skills and things that one should do, I feel the main point is being curious about international relations, being curious about other countries, the cultures of other countries, histories of other countries, what moves them, the economy of other countries. So one has to, be a little more attentive to, let's say, current affairs as to what is happening in the world. So curiosity is one that I think breeds that interest in foreign relations. And then associated with it, one has to keep, if one is to come to Indian Foreign Service, one has to keep in mind that you'll be asked questions on current affairs, you'll be asked questions on Indian history, world history, as also one good subject in life, which is something that I don't think one does at the level of schooling. It happens more in your graduation. But I think the seeds get laid during your schooling days. So study hard. There is no other option. Study hard, have that interest. And also I would say that communication skills are also important. So that also one should try and inculcate in yourself, and also look at other hobbies. Ultimately, when you look at it, time management is very crucial in succeeding in life. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. This is definitely going to help students all over Qatar. Now, talking about cultural ties between India and Qatar, in your opinion, sir, how can we as students, for example, contribute to strengthening such ties?
Well, I think in one sense you do, because the Indian community here in Qatar is in one sense the resident ambassadors, permanent resident ambassadors in some way of India in Qatar. Even a small thing that you do, even going to a shop and behaving well, that is something that promotes India in Qatar. And then more tangibly, I think wherever one can associate with our hosts, Qatar, I think that is very good. So we do that. We in terms of promoting Indian cultural activities here, trying and getting participation both from Qatari dignitaries as well as the other foreign nationalities who are here. That is something that we constantly do, and your school, I think, is one of the premier ones. We do a lot of cultural activities together with DPS, and all that promotes essentially the cultural ties between India and Qatar.
Yes, sir. I think that's something all of us can remember in day-to-day life, practicing good behavior so that we carry forward the Indian way.
Okay.
Now, so talking about time management, as you mentioned, it's a very important skill. So there are so many students, or they struggle to balance, including us at times. We struggle to balance academics, extracurriculars, and even future aspirations at this stage. So what is your advice for those of us who are unsure or uncertain about our future, and those of us who are struggling with these similar challenges at school, managing all these external pressures all at once?
Well, I don't think students in schools should take that much tension on managing their time. I think this is the time when you can experiment. This is the time when you do your. I think academics is very important, because this is the time when you can really focus on academics. And once the schooling is done, after that, if you choose a particular passion or a career path, then of course you start allocating more time to that. So during schooling, you experiment with everything. You do your academics, you do your sports, your drama, debating, all kinds of things. This is the time. And I think students should feel very confident that they will be able to manage. And I think with this experimentation, then you know as to where you stand. You have to allocate this much time to academics, this much time to something else. I think this is also the time when you should discover your passion, your strengths. I think that is very important. Both of them have to go hand in hand. It cannot be that you say I am very passionate about something, but you are not very good at it, let's say. So you have to adjust yourself. And I think that's what the students have to do. But also, at least in schooling, I would say, academics is something that as much as possible students should definitely give full attention to.
Sir, before we conclude the podcast, let me ask you one last question. So, for students who dream of achieving big things in their future, whether it be in diplomacy, business, or any field, what would be your final message of encouragement to those students?
Well, I think, as I say, I think the most important thing is to be clear about your aim. What do you want to do in life? In the initial years, of course, you are playing and you are a kid and you can do all kinds of things. By the time I think you come to class 10, 11, 12, you have some idea as to how things are going to move forward. So at that stage, start getting your aims clear. Even before that, small time aims. It could only be that I have to participate in this drama in the school, or I have to do very well at this dance, or I have to achieve this much academically. So that aim has to be clear. And then as I said, I think the students have to be clear about their strengths and passion, and so aims, and then match it with your strengths and passion. So that is very important, and keep adjusting these goals. Sometimes you suddenly find a new field and you might become more passionate about it, so you have to then adjust. Then you can't say that no, but I've decided this, so I'll keep on doing this. So be flexible also in that way. But I think students today should be feeling very confident. The world has changed from our times. There are many more opportunities available, both in terms of work as an employee, let's say, working as in a job, or even in terms of launching your own businesses or pursuing your own passions. Because you have ample opportunities where people can pursue their interests and make a mark, whether it be in arts, whether it be in music, whether it be in painting, and of course academics and sports. So students today should be feeling very confident that they'll be able to do. But as I said, your aims have to be clear, and you have to match your passions and strengths with that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us and making time for us out of your schedule today, sir. We're incredibly grateful and honored to have this interview with you today.
Oh, thank you. And you guys are doing so well, in terms of extracurricular, coming here to the embassy and doing this podcast. I'm very happy, and I wish you all success in your life.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.